Hey, this is Ryan with One Board Family, and I'm here today to review Birdwatcher from Renegade Game Studios and Oni Games. Thank you to Renegade for allowing us to have a press copy of this for this review. Now in Birdwatcher, players are going to take on the role of nature photographers. Each player is going to get their own canopy where birds are going to land, and they're going to be able to take photographs of these birds and add them to their journal as they build up a book for all of the birds that they see during the course of a game. These beautiful and sometimes rare birds are going to be found in the jungle, and then they're going to come down onto a clearing board, and then you're going to be able to lure them into the canopy of your tree where you're going to be able to take pictures of these beautiful birds. During the course of a round, players are given 3 action points that they can spend any way that they want. There are some actions like calling a bird type to your canopy, which calls all of one bird type into the tree in front of you onto your player board. Or you're going to have more expensive actions, such as photographing a neighbor's bird using a telephoto lens. You're going to be able to take a picture of a neighbor's bird, then replacing it with one of the birds from your canopy, and the player that you photographed their bird, they're going to be able to take one from the draw pile. These actions are very straightforward and they're easy to understand. The game is very easy to teach, and that's something I loved about Birdwatcher. I was able to sit down with a new group of players, whether it was 3, 4, or 5 players, and I was able to teach it in about 5 or 6 minutes. It was really easy to understand, and the actions are very straightforward. A lot of the strategy in this game falls into line when you're building out your book as you photograph these different birds. The book is built from left to right, and as you photograph these birds, they have to be placed in that order, not being allowed to change the order or replace a bird or move birds around. One thing I love about this is that players who have careful planning, players who really think through the strategy, are going to be able to plan ahead a couple turns, and hopefully, as long as other players don't grab their birds with the telephoto lens, they're going to be able to plan ahead and get those birds in line for the next couple pages of their book. Now, some birds are just worth standard points, whether 3, 4, 5 points, and some birds are even rare, which will award more points because there's only one of that bird type. Other birds that are collectible in sets are going to give you more points as you collect more of them. So a bird may be worth 3 points if you just have one, but that point value increases to 10 or 12 if you have a second bird of that type right next to it in the book. So players are wanting to group together birds so that they can maximize their points in their scientific journal. Publication cards are something that players need to pay attention to. These cards are special types of cards that for 2 action points, they're going to be able to add it into their scientific journal. They're going to score you extra points or bonuses based on the birds that are currently in your scientific journal, or maybe that are going to be added to the scientific journal. Be sure to pay attention to the cards that roll out once somebody takes one, because they are very, very powerful and they can give you a lot of points if you play them the right way or in the right order. Now, publication cards also award one player at the end of the game an additional 7 victory points, and the player with the least amount of book icons will get -2 points at the end of the game. So you don't want to be the last one to get those publication cards and end up with -2 points because you don't have enough book icons. Some birds will even come with an insect icon that's shown in the bottom corner of their card. These insect icons are a set collection mechanism that players can score additional victory points based on a full set of bugs or a partial set of bugs, and it scales really nicely. Even if you don't collect these bugs for points, you can still discard 2 bugs, any 2 bugs, in order to take an additional action, a 4th action, if you will. This is really powerful, especially if you need that one extra action to do exactly what you need to do before another player takes your bird or snaps a photo of a bird that you really need. Now, I've already gotten the question 3, 4, 5 times already. How is Birdwatcher any different than Wingspan? Wingspan is one of those few games that's broken into the cultural atmosphere. Players who aren't even board gamers really enjoy Wingspan, and this is on the shelves everywhere, wherever you go, not just in hobby game shops. But what I'm here to tell you about is the fact that Birdwatcher is so different than Wingspan. Other than the beautiful illustrations of gorgeous birds, that's kind of where the similarities stop. In Birdwatcher, players are setting up their photo journals and they're building out this book. And the strategy really comes on how you're drafting those cards and when you're drafting them during the course of a round. And who else is drafting the same cards. You're going to see birds that maybe you see 6, 7, 8 of those birds. They're going to be more common and worth less points. But when you see those rare birds that maybe only have 3 or 4 birds in the deck, you're going to want to snatch those up, but also be cautious because other players are eyeballing those birds too. Birdwatcher is a very different game than Wingspan, and honestly, for our board game collection, there's room enough for both of these games. In teaching this game to a lot of different people, both kids and adults, Birdwatcher has played in about 40 to 45 minutes when I'm teaching the game, which is not very long at all. Whereas most of our games of Wingspan, even with players who know how to play, go into the hour and 15-minute range. So Birdwatcher is definitely a game that's going to come out more often during the course of a week because it's a quicker game, it's a quicker setup, and I think that the strategy behind it is very, very different. And so Birdwatcher, I am a big fan of Birdwatcher so far. I've really enjoyed the way that the game's set up, the way that the game is illustrated, and the iconography on the cards is very easy to read. Even things like the book looks super classy. It looks like you're digging into some sort of journal that you're going to read for school. Birdwatcher is definitely a hit for our family, and it's a game that you might want to look into picking up. Again, this was Birdwatcher from Oni Games and Renegade Game Studios. Thanks so much for watching. If you haven't already, be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. We really appreciate it. Until next time, we'll see you at the table.